Hi everyone, welcome to another video. My name's Andy and this is Paintings by Andy Currie-Scarr. Now today we will be looking at one of my newer painting on a coaster speed paintings, roughly taking about 35 minutes or so to paint. This particular one is an otter, so I'm doing British wildlife at the moment. You'll see in subsequent videos a couple of birds, just other mammals that are UK based. So I'll be painting with acrylics as always, using images that I have either taken myself or found free on royalty-free websites like Unsplash, Pexels, and we'll definitely add in the credit to the original photographer if it wasn't myself. Hopefully you will get a better understanding of my painting process, and nothing much changes in terms of the way I attack the painting, usually starting with those darker tones, then working in with some highlights, finding the mid-tones, and then just tweaking that with a variety of different brushes. So if you haven't already, please have a look at some of my other videos and subscribe. A like is also welcome. Without further ado, practice makes perfect, so let's get painting. So like with every painting, I always start with the darkest points and working with a brush quite loosely just to get in the really dark areas, shadows. I do also like to drop in some colour just to kind of put up against that dark colour to make sure it is dark enough. I can always go back and tweak it later. Here we can see the red is quite, well, it's more of a burnt sienna brown, but it's quite red earthy, and I will obviously work over that and tone it down a little bit because it's a bit too bright. Just starting to add in some variation into that dark area to kind of make it not stand too dissimilar from the light brown that I'm adding to the left and the right. Now I'm just starting to blend those dark areas, light areas together with some diluted brown, filling in everything just so that I've got a base colour to work with. Starting to add some highlights in. The top of the face especially being nice and bright because of the light coming from above. Starting to put the eyes in. It's always nice to just get a base of where things are going to go. Going in and working more into those dark areas and merging them together. I don't want them to be completely merged because it loses the definition, but enough so that it just has enough to suggest a shadow without actually having too big of a difference. Sticking in the nose. It's very much just trying to find a balance as I go along. Adding a little bits of light in, bits of medium, sort of mid-tones. Adding in little details, swapping between two brushes, one with light colours on and one with dark colours on. Keeping the colour palette to quite a minimal amount of colours, so I'm using burnt sienna for the red bits, burnt umber, which is like a dark brown, ultramarine, which is blue, which I add together with the burnt umber to make a nice dark colour, like this blackish colour. White to get those pastel colours and light areas in, and just a combination of all those colours with the white to get a variety of tones, whether it's highlights which are not white, they have a touch of blue in them or a touch of brown to make them not as bright, because white itself is a really powerful media. It's not really a colour, but it's very, on its own, it's quite in your face, and I think that definitely doesn't help because it makes it stand out, which is why you only use it in very small amounts. So just kind of trying to bring everything together now, make those eyes sit on something as opposed to just being floating in the air. Same with the nose, getting a bit of detail in there. Again, I'm still using this quite loosely. I'm not going in really detailed and trying to paint every single hair. It gives the impression that there's fur there, but it's not painting every single bit, because with having a time limit you can't really spend all that time doing that. So giving the suggestion with the movements, the marks, the direction of those marks kind of helps to give that idea. As you can see with these marks going in now at the bottom, they're just giving that impression of the fur. I realised that the top was quite flat, so I'm working back into that now and adding a couple more tones in there, lighter ones to begin with, and keep mixing it up. So I'm going backwards and forwards between those darker tones, lighter tones, trying to find a happy medium. Working back in with some really nice, not white but off-white colours, get the sheen in. What makes a really good painting is the use of contrasting shades, contrasting colours, so your warms and your cold colours, so that shadow against the warmer part of the sides of the face, and then those light colours on top of dark colours, really nice contrast. Shine going in on the eyes to bring a bit of life in. And I'm just working in with a Posca pen now, because I feel that the black wasn't dark enough, or the darks weren't dark enough, so I don't normally do this, but I have actually worked back in. Finishing touches. Getting quite fiddly now. Probably should have stopped. Final finishing touches. Again, not completely white, but very close. The brightest parts, adding some whiskers in, because they were catching the light. Again, I've not been overly particular and perfect with that, leaving little gaps between them. They're not all quite as thick or as thin as others, but it gives that idea of that shine. Now, not all of them were really bright, so I'm going back in with some darker tones now to add in those other whiskers. I just felt that it needed a little bit more light in places, especially around the eyes. Those eyes definitely sink a lot more into the surface of that face. I particularly like the right eye, it kind of feels really stuck on there, that it's meant to be there. just be adding my signature. Oh yep, I've already added that there at the bottom right. It's not very clear, but it's there. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. As you can see, the final thing with high-res picture. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.